They didn't get nothing from us because we didn't have anything. What they're going to end up doing is probably taking our house. I mean, if it really goes down to whatever. And if it's about money, shame on you. You know, that's the way I look at the whole picture. Shame on the government, shame on the government. I'll leave it right there. You know, because everybody, it seems like they're not looking at this from the right aspect of it. That's the way I feel about it. And I feel he's being wrongly charged, and I feel like if anybody really, really cares about what's going on here, because it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. In 1 minute it's there. If I lose him, it's going to be a hard, hard road for me. And I wasn't a pot smoker. I didn't smoke his pot or whatever. That was for him. I just wouldn't wish this on anybody, nobody. You know, I got a fear of not only losing my husband, possibly my house, you know, and I have family up in West Virginia. You know, it's where my family is. It's very small. There's nowhere for me to go. I have a daughter here. I would never intrude on her. You know, I would never do that. You know, and it's just going to make it rough all the way around, you know, and for what? Who's gaining anything here? That's what I want to know. What are we gaining? What are they gaining from this? It's not fair, because all we're trying to do is live a quality life, you know. We're happy people. I love him to death. And I do. And it took me, 50 years to find him. That's all I can say. And
40 years.
Well, felt like 50. Like I said, you know, I mean, I mentioned it to you one-on-one, but I had a different man, you know. It wasn't my husband, you know. At a drop of a hat, he would snap at me, at anything, you know. And for about, I don't know, I think maybe he may have been on that for 2 weeks. And I told him, I'm like, either it goes or I go. And that's a hard thing to say, because even if I went anywhere, I'd probably been to my daughter's, you know. But the next day, you know, that's the love that he has for me and I have for him. If anybody's listening or anybody cares, or if you have somebody, I don't want to cry, but if you have somebody that goes through what he goes through, and you know that there's something out there that could make him feel better, my God, you know, compassion, he said it, you got to have it. And I can't say anything else because I'm under praying. I am, I mean, I'm worried about losing my husband. You know, he worries about me getting to work and that. Forget that part of it, you know. That's something that I'll work out or whatever. But this is something that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. That's how I feel about it. There was no proof of trafficking or whatever in the hell they've got going on there. When they weighed their little plants or whatever, they weighed the dirt. And they weren't sitting at Walmart when I got the call that he was going to go to jail. And that was very hard, and it kind of wiped us out with our funds and everything, you know. And that's just to keep her home, keep the roof over her head.
You think the current generation of politicians should fear the next generation coming in?
I think because they don't know what they're up against, you know. No one knows what's going to happen in the future, but yeah, I have to agree that they do need to fear it. This is about, you know, for the people that actually this marijuana helps. You know, that's pretty much how I feel about it. I think I've covered everything. I mean, because if I get into anything else, I'm just going to be a big old baby. You know, that's my baby, and I don't want anybody taking it away from me.
My wife is my support, as well as I be her support. She takes care of me, I take care of her, we take care of each other. Well, she suffers from 4 brain aneurysms, and she can't even take the car and go to the store for milk because she'll get lost coming back or going to. She has no sense of direction. We had met at a pool party back in '99. She was recovering still from her brain aneurysm surgeries. And we had met and dated for well over a year, and then we had moved in together, bought a mobile home together, and from there we were married in 2002 on the Palm Beach Princess, the cruise ship. And then we purchased a house here in Boynton Beach. I originally moved to Green Acres, or West Palm Beach, across from Green Acres there on Forest Hill Boulevard, Casa del Monte. We lived there approximately 2 years, and then that's where my accident occurred, the slip and fall accident that had started my surgeries. When we had just purchased our mobile home in Casa del Monte, I had called Adelphia Cable to come out and install cable for me. They had come out, installed the cable. Cable technician, for some reason, looked at me and told me he'd be back tomorrow to bury the cable. Why he couldn't do it that day, I don't know. I assumed the cable was always the job had gotten done. I never checked his work. And I went out about a week later and I was cutting the grass. And while backing up with my lawnmower, my feet became entangled in the cable that stretched across the lawn. It had been covered with grass. Feet became entangled in it, I fell over backwards, ended up blowing out 2 discs. I was angry. I called the cable company, complained to them, and the pain had started that day, and it just continued to get worse for me. I started the medical treatment approximately a week to 2 weeks later. I didn't have the money for medical treatment. I had no insurance, so my only recourse was to seek advice from counsel, which I did. I ended up with having what they call inner back fusion surgery. What it does, I don't know. What it did was mess me up for life. Actually, after the surgery, they kept me in the hospital for 5 days, gave me a bottle of morphine, and sent me home and told me I'd get better. Had no physical therapy, no nothing, no follow-ups that I can remember. I got the emergency care and that was it. My average day is pretty much filled with pain 24/7. The more I'm on my feet, the more pain I'm in at the end of the day and the next morning. If I stand more than 2 to 3 minutes in one area, my legs start to burn extreme. Just sitting here right now, my feet are throbbing. Every day is different. Some days the mornings are so bad, or the nights are so bad, it's like people are sticking hot needles into my feet and into my legs. I had been on several different narcotics for the neuropathy. Not one of them had worked. They first started me on what's called Loracet, which actually did nothing for anything. And then after the surgery, it was morphine. And then once the morphine ran out, then they started with the fentanyl. And I've been on fentanyl ever since. The one I know for sure, which was called Neurontin, caused severe depression. I mean, I'm depressed to begin with because of the pain I'm in every day, but when they put me on that Neurontin, I didn't feel much like even getting out of bed. It had me that depressed. There's times I wish I thought that, what the hell, if this is what life is going to be like now, I sometimes think about it. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you about that. I'm tired of the pain. There was little litigation with them. I believe the attorney that talked me pretty much with the doctor into having the surgery, they made out better than I did. I was left with a little bit of change and they paid the bills on it, and I still have the injuries. Ooh, they made well over a couple $100,000 with the anesthesiologist, the surgeon, all they did real well.
How about the attorney?
Attorney did real well too.
How about you?
Me? I was left with $35,000, which paid bills. I'll be honest with you, when I first smoked marijuana was back in the late 60s, early 70s, when the Vietnam War was going on. Public perception of marijuana back then was, if you smoked marijuana, you would probably rape and kill people, and people like Charlie Manson smoked marijuana, and it was just a perception that was all blown out of proportion, I think. I think perception today is the blinders are being taken off of the people. The reefer madness shows from the 60s and 70s are just so far-fetched, and people are seeing through the government bureaucracy and the government BS that marijuana is a safe drug. And it's not only a safe drug, but it's a drug that has very, very many cures for people and can help people a great deal. Well, I tell you, I hadn't smoked pot in quite a few years. I think I gave it up sometime in the late 80s, early 90s. I was at the doctor's office for a normal checkup, and my feet were just bad that day, and this guy next to me also was a neuropathy sufferer. And it's, for those who don't know what neuropathy is, it's a nerve disorder that is in my feet and legs, and it's a very painful disease. This gentleman offered me a joint of some hydroponic marijuana. I took it, went home, I smoked it, smoked about half of it. The burning was gone from my legs. My feet did not throb. And I had a big old smile on my face, and my wife was surprised. It was like, this is incredible. I never thought marijuana was meant for something like this. I was impressed.
Ever had any side effects from marijuana?
To relief of pain, that's about it. Get a little hungry.
Did that help you sleep?
Yes, it sure does. The cost of marijuana, back in the 70s, an ounce of marijuana, you didn't have scales, you had 4 fingers, and you took your pound and you put it in a bag, and 4 fingers was an ounce. It was a 4-finger lid, $15. Today, you get a finger, and it's $100, and it's like, I don't have that kind of money to support, to buy that, to take care of the pain for me. So I researched the internet and found a book on Amazon and seeds, and started my own garden. The growing pot didn't change my monthly income. It saved me money from having to go out and purchase marijuana. That was my only reason for growing it. I couldn't afford to buy it. It took a couple years. Well, took me about 3-4 years to actually get it to where I would be growing only a female plant. It was an ordinary day for us, for me and the wife. She was doing her thing, I was doing mine. She's getting ready for work. I make lunch every day for us. We ate. We were running a few minutes behind, and all of a sudden we were rushed now to get her to work. And leaving the house, I had forgotten my pistol. I carry a .38 with me. I left my gun at home that day. I have a permit to carry it. This is a crazy town. I feel unsafe without a gun, especially after my house has been robbed.